Okay, it's not going.
This is saying it's being live streamed.
I'm just recording it on YouTube. It's private right now.
Okay.
All right, great. Hi, good day. This is Leo Gilling on the Leo Gilling Show. Remember, we go live on generally on Facebook on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. and on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Today we are recording a live conversation with Miss Marlene Hickman and her sister, want to be known today as Kay. Instead of telling you exactly what I know about the situation, we're going to have a conversation, a normal conversation about their lives, and they are going to tell you exactly some of the hell stories that come out of Jamaica that relating to them only. And it has to do with their father and sexual abuse. This is not going to be a very easy topic, neither for me, and I'm sure not for them. However, it's something that must be said. It must be done, because there has been so much issues with these types of problems: incest, rape of young women and boys, rape of women who are under 16 and over 16. And I raise the number 16 because 16 is actually the age of consent. But men across Jamaica, for as long as I can remember, have been abusing women at this age and below. It needs to stop. This is an opportunity this evening when we talk to Marlene and Kay to bring to the forefront some of the issues, and we hope that it becomes an awareness tool and a political tool and a moral tool for everybody to learn and to understand. I'm going to take it very slow today so that everybody gets an idea to hear everything in its form. So first of all, let me ask Marlene to introduce herself. I want to know which part Marlene, where is Marlene from? Where is Kay from? I want to know those things. I want to set the table correctly first. Marlene, tell me, where are you from?
Hi, Leo. So I am from Brownstown, St. Anne. And how I got there, just quickly, because my mother gave birth to me at 17 years old and went to St. Anne to drop me off with the paternal family. So that's where I'm from.
Do you know why they dropped you off at the paternal family?
My mother was 17 at the time and felt she was unable to care for me. So she felt it was in the best interest of myself to do so. So that's how I ended up in St. Anne, being raised with a father, my birth father, and my stepmother.
Great. And then Kay, can you tell me where you're from?
Well, I'm from St. Catherine, and I grew up with my both parents. I think my mom had me when she was about 23, and I grew up with them.
All right. So did you grow up with Marlene?
No, I didn't. I only saw her like as a child. I think I saw her like 3 times.
Okay.
Because her father wouldn't bring her, and then my mom wouldn't go, or mother wouldn't go and get her.
All right. So both of you are same father.
Same mother.
Same mother. Same mother.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So tell me now, Marlene, who do I talk to first? Can I talk to Kay first? Does she have a lot of time? We can talk to Kay first. All right, Kay.
Yeah.
Same mother.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me a little bit more about why you're here today?
Well, after Marlene wrote the book, we call her Maxine. She wrote the book. It's been getting a lot of attention, and her focus is to raise the awareness and to people has become, I think, sensitized to abuse of kids. And that's what she's been working on, trying to get people desensitized so that they'll be aware and alert and take action when these things are happening. So it's to raise their awareness and to try and find ways and means of protecting children.
Okay, so let's talk about abuse. What
Uh-huh.
type of abuse were we talking about?
Sexual abuse. I know there's also physical abuse, and psychological and other types of abuse, but the sexual one, because we've experienced it, we just thought we'd, try to raise the awareness because it's destroying people's lives.
All right. So, we're not gonna focus on the psychological and the physical. What I'm more concerned about is the sexual. So, who is the person that perpetuated this sexual abuse upon you? And I'm assuming you.
My father.
Is your father, is your stepfather, or your biological?
No, it's my biological father.
Okay. And your biological, and at what age did this start?
It started when I was about 9 years old. It's kind of between 8, 9. I'm kind of fuzzy about that because I was quite young, but I think it was about 9.
So he had sex with you?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
Inappropriate touching and like saying inappropriate things. That's what happened. Yeah. He attempted to rape me. Once I remember I think I was 10 years old. My mother, she had a child at when I was 10, her last child, and my mother was in the hospital. And I remember the night waking up on the floor. I did not wake on the bed like I was not waking on the bed. I just became aware of being on the floor and him trying to penetrate my vagina. And I started screaming and he stopped. But I was almost raped then.
Your mom was in the hospital at the time?
She was in the hospital having a baby, yeah.
And then the other times, go ahead.
No, he stopped because I screamed, and then there was a grand aunt that was in the house. So it's my assumption he stopped because of my screaming. And the other times, well, my mother would go to the supermarket on Saturdays, and then that's when he got the opportunity to try to hold, try to catch me basically. Like he'll send you in the house to do something, and then you'll be trapped.
All right, and did this last beyond age 9? How long were you there for, and how long did it last?
Okay, this went until I was 14 years old. At 14, I reported it to the police, and I had therapy when I was 34. In the therapist actually asked me if he touched me after I reported it. And that's when I realized that after I reported it, he never touched me again, but he did say inappropriate things, but it still had the same psychological effect on me.
Who did you report it to?
I reported it to the police. I walked 3 miles to the police because we were also being physically abused, because I would try to evade him when my mother is not there. And then what you do is For the week, we'll probably not get sent to school. We'll be beaten. We'll have to sleep outside the house all night as a child. And I reported it and nothing was done.
You said we. There are other sisters?
Yeah. But I'm not going to be talking on behalf of them
Not
because
at all.
they'd rather
I
not.
just because you said we, I want to make sure that we're talking about other sisters.
Yes.
Mm. And did your mom know about all these touching?
She knew because what was done to me is that I was threatened with us kids being taken away by the police and put in a home and wouldn't be able to see our parents again. So I was constantly reminded of that, so I would not tell anyone. And being the eldest in the house as a child, I just thought, I had to protect my siblings. So it, she eventually, once he would get on top of me and like simulate the sexual activity, like on a Saturday. And my brother saw, wrote a note, gave it to my mom, and that's how she found out.
Is your dad still alive?
No, he died, is it 12 years ago?
How was your relationship with him after?
I didn't have a relationship with him because at 19, I actually threatened him with violence to protect that sister that was born when I was 9, 10. To protect her, I threatened him.
Oh my.
So I didn't have a relationship with him. The only kind of relationship is that you'd constantly be asking for money.
Mm.
Yeah.
Are you married, Kay?
No, I was married, but I have been divorced, and I've just reached the point where I realized I can't really cope with it, with like a relationship.
That's what I was about to ask you. How was your marriage, and did that affect you in your marriage? What was the relationship like with your husband?
It does affect me because I suffer with depression and anxiety, and I'm on high doses of medication. I live in the UK, so I have access to instant help, like because I also suffer with suicidal thoughts. 90% of the time, I'm suicidal. So I have access to like a crisis team if I'm not if I'm feeling suicidal to the point, where I think I may take action, I can contact them. So I just can't have a relationship. To be honest, if I see a guy, he looks nice, I think, yeah. Next thing is I hate men. That's the next thought in my head.
And this is this is as a result of your early childhood experience.
Yes, the result of my early childhood experience, because it's like it affects every area of my life. Like even if I think of, I don't iron clothes, because that was one of the ways of trapping me. I didn't learn to cook at home because that was another trap. It's like everything, every area of my life, it affects.
You have children?
Yes, I have 2 kids.
How is that?
That's great. Everybody tell me I'm a good mother because I do everything to protect them.
So you protect them from
Everybody.
so you don't trust nobody around your kids?
No, I don't. But
Right.
it's like knowing that they're safe is everything to me. Like seeing my daughter walking around, like say in a shorts or tight clothing, because she's pretty, she's 12. It just makes me so happy knowing that she's free and comfortable, you know?
Let's get back to your childhood a little bit. Did you see anybody in your community that you would have talked to? Did you talk to anybody? What happened?
There, in, there wasn't anybody to talk to. Growing up, I had this school friend. We went to primary school together, and then he went to boarding school. He went to Monroe, and he was like my boyfriend, but he was boarding and I was at home. So we'd write letters to each other. And he was the only person that protected me or who was, there for me, like kind of shielding me from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then later when I was 18, I ran away because he went to live in another parish and I ran away to live with him.
Oh, so you ran away from your home to live with the boyfriend?
Yes, I did.
And how was that relationship? Tell me about that.
That relationship was brilliant because I think the home he was brought up in, he was brought up with high moral standards. So even our relationship, it wasn't about sex, it was about we planning to get married and have sex. So that was good. And then he protected me. And then when I ran away to be with him, it was good. I was safe. And he was he was a good guy.
And you didn't get to translate that to other persons, that kind of relationship that you had with them?
No, I've never. Just now that I say it, I'm thinking, no, I've never. I don't know if because I don't know. We were just very, very close. Like we were each other's confidant. We were best friends. We were really close. And I suppose at that age, what love is, we were in love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember you said that your mom knew.
Mm-hmm.
Did anything ever happened inside or outside your home where your mom admitted or agreed that something was going on and tried to stop? Was there any time at all?
No, because okay, when I reported it, the police did come, and I went to one of my cousin's house, so I don't know what was said, but I know my mom said that my father's family said that I was lying. It's because I wanted to go and have boyfriends, why I was saying that, and that was the end of it. But with my mother, she never like, it's like she made herself the victim in the situation, and she never like acknowledged that it happened and some of the things that happened. And when I say it back at the time, after she would say I'm lying.
Hmm. How was your relationship with your mom?
Very fictitious. We didn't get along until we just reached a point where I just stopped having a relationship with her because it's like I couldn't pretend, and it's like she wanted me to pretend that it was a perfect childhood, everything was okay, and we're all doing fine. But I wasn't able to do that. And she bared no responsibility for what happened to us as kids. To her, it was all him, you know? Because so I've even said to her that, you were there to protect us. What did you do? And she wasn't happy about that.
Is she still alive?
No, she died 2 years ago.
You never got a chance to kind of rebuild that relationship?
No, I gave up because it's like she refused to acknowledge, or even when I was clinically depressed from I was 34. They wanted to actually put me in an asylum, but with medication, and I did like really struggle through, and I had one of my cousins was supporting me emotionally, and I tried to talk to her, and she'd be if she respond any at all about the abuse, she would be like passive aggressive, or she'll just blank me. She'll just come on the phone, listen, and have nothing to say, or she'd say something really nasty. Because for her, it's like I did not tell her, but then my brother saw and told her, and she still didn't do anything. But I think to me, it's like, they have this thing in Jamaica where I don't know if they're not aware that when kids are being abused, there's some threat that is perpetrated against them where they will not talk. And that's the situation I was in. But I think to her, she takes it like me not telling her is me being like, accepting of what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you see, you had problems on top of problems. Mom not admitting, dad committing, and all of that stuff, and then you had to deal with your own personal issues with it, with all that's going on with you. What is it? What exactly would you put the biggest weight on that has affected you or is affecting you right now? Why you're on medication? What exactly? Well, let me put it this way. What is the most damning thing that is affecting you today with all of that happened?
Okay. Basically, I was robbed of a childhood. And with that, it's like, this is somebody who should have protected me. That trust was destroyed. You live under fear, being like as growing up, thinking that you're gonna be, you report it, nothing is done, so you're not protected. There's nowhere to turn. Then when you get older, you realize your self-esteem has been destroyed, your self-value has been destroyed, your self-love has been destroyed. I had years before I could look in the mirror and really see myself. And it just destroys your well-being, and it's like it takes your strength. And then you have, like, as you get older now, you have triggers where, like, a smell can trigger you, someone can say something and trigger you, or a sound can trigger you, and then it just like you have post-traumatic stress syndrome. Because sometimes I even have flashbacks, just flashbacks of incidents that happened as a child, and it just pulls me straight back into being depressed, like seriously depressed and suicidal.
You seem to have a good relationship with Marlene. How about with your other sisters that you grew with?
We have a very close relationship because we were supported and protecting each other as kids.
Yeah.
Because we sleep outside at nights. Both of us would just curl up in some corner because we were put outside to sleep for the night because he couldn't catch us to molest us. So we're still very close.
Anger because of the fact that you didn't have the support that you wanted from parents, from mothers, and you didn't tell many people outside.
Mhm.
Did you have any anxiety, any angry bursts that you said to yourself, Jesus, peace, oh my God, Albert, how am I going to control this now? Did you have a lot of anger burst of anger?
Yes, because I used to go. I live in England, so like you go on the high street. That's like the main street where you live, like where the shops are. And I used to go on the high street, and my sister would call me and ask me if I've been on the high street today. I say yes, and she would be like, "Did you argue with anyone?" Because we look alike, and she would be scared to go. But I'm learning to manage that, and
Yes.
yeah, but I'm it's like I'm learning to manage my anger. But then even with my kids, I don't get angry with them,
Okay.
but because we have a method of dealing with anger in the household.
Does your kids know about your past, or you just keep that quiet? You keep that by yourself?
Well, my son's young, but my daughter is a bit aware, but not of the details because like I wrote something and sent it to Marlene, and I asked her if she wanted to read it, and she said yes, but I said probably when you get a bit older, because she was getting a bit upset.
Mhm.
And she was like, Mommy, if I read it now or when I'm old, I'm still gonna be upset because I love you. So it's I just don't want to hurt her feelings, because she said she's having a good childhood and I had such a horrible one.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Very.
don't want to hurt her.
Wow. I'm so happy that you were able to share. This is your first time coming out in public to say these things, right? Because you probably say to your psychologist, or but
Yeah,
you have never said this publicly before.
no, I haven't.
Well, I hope we can continue to dialogue, because, as I said, I think this is important, and it will probably one of these days I'll get to see who you are and stuff. So you take it slow, right? One of these days we'll get to meet each other.
Okay, thank you for having me.
I thank you too. Thank you so much for being here. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Leo.
All righty. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
That was Kay, the sister of Marlene, and we just find out that she named Maxine too. And so we are going to turn to Marlene. I learned a little bit about Marlene's story last week, but I thought it was necessary for me to have this conversation, because it's I don't think we delve into the details, and I really especially want to hear it so that we can share it. And so welcome, Marlene Hickman.
Thank you, Leo, for having me. It's
Marlene,
emotional hearing my sister talk about her story, publicly for the first time. And I've been trying to get her to talk about it, because I feel the more people that are aware of, let's call it what it is, incest, and the other sexual abuse that's going on in Jamaica, the more that we're hoping that people will come together and start holding perpetrators accountable for their actions.
I hated to use the word incest, but it is truth. It's not, to me, it's not sexual assault or sexual abuse. It's incest. This is a bad word. Huh? And so I'm glad that you said that. Tell me a little bit about which part. Okay, no. I already heard that you grew up in St. Ann, but you're a Kingston girl, right? You were born
I was born there, and
okay.
yes.
Then you said that you moved to St. Ann when you were younger, and you moved in with whom?
I was 2 years old when my birth mother dropped me off in St. Ann with the paternal grandmother. Later, my father would get married. So then when I was about age 4, I went to live with him and his wife.
Oh, so you're with your grandma first, and then, okay, so that's so did you said mom got pregnant when she was 17, right?
Yes.
17. And so now you're with your biological father. I want to make that very, very clear, that you're with your biological father, and he's married to another lady, right?
Yes. Yes.
Which is, and it's not the same lady as your sister Kay. It's another lady. Your mother and Kay mother are the same mother. Same.
Yes, I share a mother with Kay. Yes.
Sure.
My birth mother is Kay's mother.
All right. I'm gonna dig into that because it's interesting that you had an ancestral experience with your father, and Kay, had the similar situation with another man. Mm-hmm. And your mom is the common is the common person here, right? So that's very interesting. All right, so you got to your dad's home, and how many other siblings were there?
So there was an older stepchild in the household also, and then later 3 within the marriage.
Step meaning that his daughter or her daughter or your stepmother?
His daughter.
His daughter.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Oh,
there
wow.
was 2 stepchildren in the household, myself and the other girl.
Okay, I see. All right. Okay, that's interesting. All right. So, but that's good that I'm going to say good in quotes, that he's bringing his kids together in the same household. Now, what happens after that is something different, right? All right. So,
yeah.
all right. So tell me then, when did this start with you?
So it started very early, and it had to start before I started going to Brownstown Primary School, because I think primary school is about age 6. The reason I'm saying that, because I remember specifically that at the time, the baby, he was holding, and there's stuff that I'm going to talk about here that I've never ever shared with, anyone. So I remember that he used to have the baby in his arms, and he used to, come with the baby, holding the baby at the time, the first child of the marriage, in the arms. And he used to come in the room and tell me to take my clothes off, and he used to get in the bed with me. And that's how it started. So you figure, the baby was the baby. So you figure at the time I was less than 6 years old, if you look at the baby's age now. And that's how it started. So he used to come to the room, tell me to take my clothes off at nights, and he used to crawl into the bed. And sadly, that's how it started. And, like I always repeat this, any interview that I do, I repeat this, and I try to get people to understand that when you're young and this is what you have nothing else to measure it by, because there's no one else there. Yes, there was a woman in the house, but this woman or man, which was him, they never, of course, these people would never teach you that people don't touch your private parts. So that's when it started.
All right. So he was touching you at that time?
Yeah, he was coming in the bed and telling you to take your clothes off. And then he would get in the bed alongside you. And I remember he had the baby. The baby used to, he used to come in there with the baby in his hand.
Yeah, Jesus. All right. And then tell me about, did he ever have sex with you?
Yes. So gradually it moved from the touching, because, if you know about abuse, that's how it starts.
Where it starts, yes.
Okay, it started with the touching. It started with the process. It started with coming to the room, started with touching, started with the finger, getting the fingers, penetration and stuff like that. And then eventually it moved to sexual intercourse.
Do you remember?
I didn't even know the word for it until I was about 10. I just want everyone to be clear, because that was my normal. I had nothing to measure that by.
Do you remember what, at any point in time at that age, that young age, what was going through your mind? Do you have any recollection of what you would have been thinking?
Pain. I was always in pain. You imagine I'm a young child, and that's what people, you imagine you're a young child and someone's basically penetrating your body. That's all you remember is pain. And I'm an adult now, and even sexually, it becomes a problem for me. I'm like, there are times that I just can't function sexually in any relationship that I'm in, because sometimes you just can't differentiate between, it's in your head, it stays there. And people talk about healing. People don't understand that when it's, whether, even if someone that's been raped, but, I'm not discounting that if it's a one-time incident. I'm not discounting that at all. But what you need to remember, this was years of abuse until I ran away when I was 17 years old. So you figure it had to be at least 14
years.
Or 13. It's years of abuse. We're talking about continuous sexual abuse, continuous. And that's what people need to understand, that, you know, when you have these men in the household that molest you, it starts it out. I mean, later on, I would learn about something called grooming, and I would learn the different components of what sexual, you know, sexual abuser looks like when it comes to younger children. It's the same thing in the household. And the fear that's instilled in you that you know not to talk about it, and also the people around that they know and they do nothing to protect you.
All right. So tell me then about the woman of the house, the mother of the house. How was your relationship throughout those years? And what did you tell her? Well, tell me about your relationship with her. Don't tell me about what you tell her. Just tell me about your relationship with her first.
So for me, I was young. So of course, the woman in the house, I guess I didn't realize that was not my mother. So of course, there's a woman in the house, and of course, I love this woman. Of course, you know, everything that's happening in the household is my normal. So I don't think I even, when I was that young, I didn't realize she was not my mother. So, you know, I loved her, and I must, you know, I will make that very clear that to me, she was the woman in the house, and that's what she represented. However, when I got older, there was a cousin who's an older cousin that came to the house. I'm not even sure what we said to her, what was said to her. And she said to tell the mother. And, you know, because, you know, I went and I told her. I don't even know what the cousin told me to tell her. All I knew that I was awakened by a green water hose beating the daylights out of me in my head by the father figure, because I told. So basically the beating, you know, it was like, the green water hose we have at Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
where you water the lawn with. Remember them old tough hose, the tough green
Let
water
them beat you
hose?
with.
Yes. And I was beating my head with this. And that told me to shut up. That told me to never talk about it again.
Mm.
And then so that's what happened. And then the mother of the house, like basically after a while, she went and she got her own bedroom. This is going to create a lot of rift, because the mother in the household is someone that's very influential. But you know what happened was she ended up getting her own bedroom.
So you
Meaning,
weren't in a typically poor
no, I wasn't.
home.
No, I wasn't. So she went and moved into her own bedroom, and then she locked her door at nights and left me to the mercy of this man.
So would he come into your room, or or does he drag you somewhere? He comes into your room.
Sometimes, and these are stuff, like I said, that I've never ever talked about
Tell
with
me.
anyone before, that sometimes he would come into the room. Sometimes he would, you wake up. You know how I would wake up, since I'm being real with you? Do you know what it's like to wake up with a hand in your vagina? That's what wake you up all the time. That's your wake up. Okay. So you're there sleeping as a child, and you wake up either with beatings, because we used to get physical abuse too. Either you're getting hit because of whatever it may be, you're getting hit, or, you know, those moments, it's the vagina, the fingers. That's what wake you up. Fingers in the vagina. And then basically he's pulling you into the living room. I'm going to tell the whole world, into the living room. So and then later on, it was always finding time alone with us. Like basically it was, like whatever, he owned a bus, and he also was a mechanic, owns stuff that, like passenger buses and stuff. So just always finding time alone to be in the house.
Your father's still alive?
Yes, yes, yes. The whole family's still there, because they tell everybody I'm lying, and that's what I was. When I ran away, the same thing. They said that I was lying because I wanted to be with men, and I wasn't allowed to be with men, and that's the reason that I was lying, that my father wanted there with me.
I want everyone to know at this point in time that we're talking about her biological father, not a stepfather, and I'm not saying that I'm upholding anything about her stepfather. I'm just saying that I'm making it clear that this is her biological father. This is an unusual thing for me to hear, because you generally hear about stepdad and people and uncle and so forth that come in. But this is somebody who's supposed to guarantee your safety inside your own home, right? So, all right. So the community, did you have anybody in the community that you could talk to?
So because of who the family was, like there was rumors, like everybody in the community, like the older that I got, people in the community would say the rumors that, everybody suspected that that was what was going on. And they would say that if you look at anybody in Jamaica that knows me, they will tell you that there was always rumors about that. But, once again, based on the family itself, that no one really intervened. No one did. Even, there was always physical abuse. So of course, my complexion is kind of lighter. So of course, I always had bruises on me from beatings, but no one really intervened.
Did you have a good friend that you could talk to? What happened? Did you have a really good friend?
I kept it a secret because the fear was it was beatings, always beatings. And when I was, I went to Westwood High School and I had good friends there. I never told any of my friends until I was in my 20s. I told them, like, I ran away. I had episodes of running away. And like my big runaway, I should say, was when I was 16 years old. And that's when I ran away to the mother in St. Catherine, expecting help, asking for help.
At what age was it?
The big runaway, 16, when I took off to her, and basically sent me back, said I was lying. And it wasn't until years later when I was able to talk to Kay, I realized it was the same thing happening in their household. So then it made sense as to, why this woman had to basically say I was lying and sent me back.
Okay, so let's get to that. Why did your mother, both you and Kay's mother, why do you think that she would say that you guys are lying? I mean, is there something that we're missing here? Because it couldn't be that she had one boyfriend and that boyfriend or husband did it to one daughter, and then she has another, and this boyfriend it's biological biological dad. What is it that was common? What are we missing?
So that's what's interesting. I mean, later when I talked to Kay and I found out their story, then it kind of made sense to me. However, I mean, I don't know. I always say, we have excelled, like in terms of our education level. I don't know if it has, I don't even want to say that. If it had anything to do with that, you figure my mother probably dropped out of school maybe when she was like 14 or, whatever age around there. So maybe her concept and someone like her, I think that she had to do that in order to like basically, to not deal with it. You'd rather to say that they're lying because she's protecting herself by not having to deal with it. That's just what I think. And I think.
Were you the first daughter? You're the first child?
So she had a boy at 15 years old for somebody else, had me at 17. And when she had me at 17, that's when she basically brought me to St. Anne and left me there. So later when I met her, I think the first time I saw her was like about 6 years old. Like, I knew that I had a mother somewhere, like later on. And then like at 16, when I went to her for help and she turned her back, and we never had a relationship. Like I tried, like when I came to the US and I was finally realizing what motherhood meant. I did my best to have a connection with her, but by then we never had a relationship. Like she didn't speak to me because, I confronted her at one point. I said, you did nothing. You shouldn't have had me. You shouldn't have given birth to me if you knew that and I strongly believe with that. I respect everybody's beliefs, but I felt that it's a struggle to be me. it's a struggle to live, even though, you know, I have accomplished some things, but I still struggle with the idea. There was times, twice I attempted suicide because you don't know. And like Kay brought up, you live with
This pain.
it. Yeah, you live with it. So even though I learned to cope, I have coping techniques that I use. But at the end of the day, when I'm in my sleep, I can't differentiate who the man is who's touching me in my sleep. Let's be for real. In my deep sleep, I can't differentiate that it's someone who loves me is touching me. I can't different a lot of times just mentally, you subconsciously you can't. So it affects all my relationships. It affects my relationship with males in particular because I'm very hyper vigilant. I have trust issues. It's just so much more to it.
Tell me
It's
about.
like looking at myself, learning. I never thought, you know, I used to blame myself for years. I thought it was my fault that I was abused. Anybody that know me from Jamaica can tell us that pure long frock I used to wear, cover from head to foot. Because I went up, guess what? I cut it off, I made them cut it off. I had like, you know, my eyelashes were long. I used to take scissors and cut them. Everything that you know that you're trying to, you get what I mean? Because you're thinking it's your fault. You're always thinking it's your fault, and you're trying to figure out how to make yourself look a certain way so nobody's gonna look at this mind that you're thinking it's your fault, and you're thinking maybe because people was telling me when I was younger that you know you're a pretty girl or whatever it was. So all those things you struggle with, and I never saw myself as beautiful. I never ever did. All I saw was the abuse, the years and years of abuse.
Boyfriends. Did you have boyfriends when you were in high school or in the community? Tell me about them.
So I had play boyfriends, and the only reason I say play
I'm sorry to
boyfriends,
laugh
you
about
know,
that.
growing up in
Play boyfriends.
I had
Okay,
play
go ahead. I'm
boyfriends
sorry.
because you know, growing up in Jamaica and you know, being at Westwood High School, of course, it's an all-girls school. Of course, you have your friends' brothers would like you. They send you letter, you know, whatever the story may be. But yes, I never had a real boyfriend in Jamaica. No.
Do you have a pastor?
You mean now?
No, then.
No, we went to, so that was the thing. Like, you know, I grew up in an Adventist household where she was Adventist. So sometimes I go with her to church. And then he would go to church, you know, the major Christmas, Easter, New Year's Eve. And then I would go to church with him. So in terms of a pastor per se, not really,
No.
because it was, you know, and plus do not forget the Jamaican culture that children are heard and not seen. So even when you went to church, why would I go talk to a pastor?
Yeah. Because the reason I ask is because as youth, sometimes you get really involved in church, and pastors are always there as a community individual that you share things with sometimes. But if you don't have that type of relationship, it's not going to happen. I understand. That's why I was asking. I think you're freezing up a little bit.
No, because I was, no, can you see me?
Yes, you're fine now.
Hello?
Go ahead.
So, yes. So for me, it was just basically you're around these adults and you kept your mouth quiet about what was going on, because once you get beaten with the water hose and once you know that you're constantly being physical abused, you stay silent because you're so afraid. This person, you know, when you look at life and I look at the person that, you know, my father is not a very tall man, but do you imagine as a child how this powerful this person looked to you? Because this person, you're small. Yeah. This person is the adult that's abusing you. So this person looked like super, you know, super person to you. And everything that you did is around them. It was fear. We weren't really allowed to go places. Okay. That was not part of the agenda. It was like from school to home. It was very, very, what's the word? Protected. I mean, average Jamaicans will say, oh, you grew up in a protective environment. But the reality is, why was the environment protective? And that's the issue.
All right. And then the first time you had a boyfriend, tell me about that relationship coming out of a relationship, a bad relationship in your family. Tell me about your first boyfriend. How did you react to him? And sex and all of that good stuff. Tell me about that.
So the first boyfriend happened when I run away from Jamaica. And then I came to New York. When I came to New York, my friend in Jamaica had called somebody that she knew, a man, and asked him to stay, ask him for me to stay with him. So when I got to New York, I had phone numbers and like $20 and no place to stay because, my runaway from Jamaica, I was 17 and headed to a place that I don't know anybody, but just phone numbers. So she had actually asked him to pick me up at the airport. And when I got there, his was one of the numbers, but by the time I got on the airplane and I arrived in New York, she had called him and he was the one who showed up at the airport to pick me up. So you imagine here I'm like, 17-year-old, I guess in his mind, that's a gift that was sent to him. And, he was, you have to read my book to really get the gist of that because I was
yes.
I had to talk about that. So of course I'm come at the airport and him say me, he's with someone, he's married to someone actually. Him tell me, say, I had known about the word business marriage. Him tell me, say, I have a business marriage and he was with someone and I ended up in their house, please. You have to read my book. It was a tough situation. I ended up in their house and I talk about that more in terms of I was there and basically, he was telling me that he was in love with me. And at the time, I ended up working out in Long Island babysitting. And, one weekend I went there, she was gone. So him claim that they're not together anymore because it was a business marriage. It was lies. I was 17 years old. I didn't know any better. Ended up having sex with him. First time in my life, I had consensual sex with anybody. And then shortly after I got pregnant for him. And remember, I didn't know how to tell someone that I was being sexually abused, right? I didn't know how to. So he took a trip to Jamaica shortly after that. And guess what? When he went to Jamaica, he found out. And then he came back and he confronted me with it. Because this is how, he realized, naturally he realized I was not a virgin at the time. And when he went to Jamaica, he found out that was the reason. And then immediately his attitude towards me changed. And even so, I didn't have any place to stay or anything like that. And then that was it. I ended up miscarrying for that one. And then shortly after it, within a couple weeks or so, I got pregnant for him again. And that was it. He went back to his wife.
And you had the child. You have a
yeah.
Okay.
My only child.
You have a book right next to you?
She's my only child.
Do you have your book next to you right now?
No, I don't have the book next to me. Sorry. I don't have it next to me, but the book is called The Lies I Tell, and I wrote the name on the screen.
Okay, good. Oh, yes, I see it. The Lies I Tell. And what has been the relationship, and you told me, but I want the public to know, what has been the relationship now with your dad and your mother and your stepmother? Yes.
So the stepmother, I must say this, that the stepmother was very educated. It's a very educated woman. So growing up, I learned a lot from her. So, I was able to read. When I was in Brownstown Primary School, I was one that, was on that top, very smart kids in school because of the stepmother. I must make that very clear. When I went to Westwood, though, I needed help. So of course I tell myself I'm going to fail. And the reason that I wanted to fail was I wanted somebody to notice that you see certain behaviors, approach me, ask me about abuse, and let me tell you, because I wanted to tell somebody. I wanted a guidance counselor teacher, someone to come and ask me straight out so I could just nod my head and say yes. No one did. So, so that was the thing. So the stepmother in this story, like over the years, I tried to have a relationship with her because that's the mother I know, regardless. You know, she always talk about me and my picnic them. You know, I was never included in me and my picnic them because she always referred to her biological children. But to me, regardless, I am young and this is the woman I know in the house. So of course I loved her. I used to clean, cook, clean, everything just so I could have love. And, you know, I must say that this was also the woman who ended up getting me the visa for the US because I used to be the one that watched her children.
Oh,
you know, when she
the one who
used to
got the
come to the
visa
US
for
all
you?
the time.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, because
Why?
I used to
Why?
watch her kids all the time.
Why did she get you the visa?
So she got it. So she got me the visa because at one time when I left Westwood, she had left for like about 6 months and she had told me that, you know, when she gets back, she was going to get me a visa so I could travel one day. That's what she told me. So she got the visa for me, you know, with the intention that I could travel one day, not realizing that I was going to use it to run away. So I ended up with a visa.
Okay. And how, when you ran away, did anybody reach out to, did they reach out to you? Did they try to find you? I mean, what happened?
So no one knew where I was because my running away was a big secret. I had to be a secret. Like, think about the family. It had to be a secret.
Yes.
So when I ran away, it was, you know, there was an adult woman, I'll say her name is Jay,
Yes.
that, you know, I told her my story, not saying, I just told her, I said, can you help me to leave? And
Yes.
she wanted to know why. And I said, just please, because it was to the point that either, Leo, I have to tell you this, that it was to the point that either me go kill myself fully, do something drastic, because by then I had realized that, you know, taking pills didn't work because I had tried that before twice, 14 and 16. So then I started thinking other ways that maybe it would work. So then I was thinking to kill myself, you know, do something real bad with some kind of weapon and kill myself, or kill the person, kill the abuser. And it's sad then that, you know, at that age, that's what you're thinking. You're thinking two things. And then when the visa came along, then it opened up another option, because either I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna kill the person that's doing it to me. And then when the visa came along, like I said, the concept was, okay, I could get away. And that's when I started planning. And I told this lady, I said, can you help me get a ticket? And that's what happened.
Wow. I am so blown away with these stories. It's not even a triangle. It's one of those situations that you can't even. It's happened, and I wonder how many people in Jamaica are having this kind of situation. If you are just one person and Kay another in the same family, how many more persons out there are having this? Are you having this kind of, not you, I'm just asking the general public, are you having this kind of problem? Do you know these things are going on out there? Do you really know these things that are going on out there? And where does it go? When does the police come to help? When does the police intervenes and help to put some of these guys away, even just to make a statement? Because it has to stop. It really has to stop. I mean, I can't say I understand anything when it comes to sexual assault and battery and boogering. There's nothing nice and sweet about it. There's nothing good about it. Why does it continue to happen in our country? As every day you see it happening. And now it's, last week I saw a situation where this guy killed his girlfriend. She was pregnant for him with a twin, and he decided because he'd been taunted, he's gonna take her life, and then he took his own life. Okay, please go ahead, take your life, but don't take the other person's life. You know, that kind of, it's really bad when it has to come to this point where, you know, as a woman, as a young lady, have to think whether or not you want to kill yourself or kill because somebody is abusing you. That don't make no sense at all to me. That don't make any sense at all to me. And so I'm reaching out to you, the general public, that if you know somebody who's having this, stop condoning it. The woman, them, the mothers, stop condoning this thing. Perpetuate this thing. This is what's happening. We're having persons having PTSD and affected for the rest of their lives with these things. And them alone, I got them bed at night time. She's lady saying that she can't have sex with somebody without thinking, well, who this? Waking me up in the middle of the night. Must be my father. What an odd story. It's not a stranger. Once upon a time, when the word rape comes into your mind, you think of a stranger. How do you think of your dad? How do you think of your dad? I want to thank you both, sisters, who've been sexually abused by two different fathers with the same mother. And I'm glad that I'm able to have the discussion with both of you. And I hope that this will make a big difference in your lives, because I'm thinking that you are seeking some kind of justice, some kind of creation of awareness out there. And I hope that when this is all done, that we are going to have something there to speak on. And I let you leave, give me your last statement, give me your last thoughts, the going away thoughts here.
I just want to bring awareness to the Jamaican community to be very aware, because Jamaican victim blame. So I realized that no matter what child, or it happens to boys too, that they continue to victim blame and saying it's the child's fault. I was reading some of this stuff about the minister and the 13-year-old girl, whatever age the girl was, yes, a few weeks ago, and I saw other people in there. I was reading those articles and the comments, and it made me sick that people were blaming this 13-year-old, and people continue to blame the victims. I mean, your children. And that's what a lot of mothers, a lot of girlfriends, a lot of community people, they continue to blame the children. They don't blame these grown men, and that the man is the one, the older man, let me make that clear, is the one that their brain is mature enough to make a decision that this is wrong. The children don't know better in terms of if the abuse is, like in my case, it was for years. And then you have these young children that's there that the men are doing it to, and the children become afraid. So when someone tells you that, guess what? Do you know how shameful it is for someone to admit that they're being sexually abused? Your shame, so tell. It's nothing that I wear proudly. I'm able to talk about it years later, not because I want to, and that's my sole purpose. My sole purpose is to bring awareness, because it destroys lives. Look at me. I'm a trained clinician, and I am using coping techniques. What they need to understand is the mental health impact that it has on the children when it happens to them, and the long-term effects. What had happened if years ago, if I had killed that man, right? Let's be for real. And and at that time, it didn't occur to me until I was just before 17. Let me make that clear, that then that started entering my thoughts. Yes. But, before that, there was, all I could think of about was dying. My waking moments was dying. And I talk about that in my book. I talk about like knowing the Bible and learning all these different things in the Bible. So every day, all me to pray for a very long time when I was young was, dear God, please kill my father. And then later on, it turned to, dear God, please don't let me get pregnant for my father.
But I needed to ask you that. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you so much. Marlene Hickman, thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you so much for telling your story. And I promise you, this is going to be out there. All right. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. All right.
Thank you for having us and bringing this story to light. And we're hoping that it gets awareness that it needs to.
Thank you.